It was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be
forward.
like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have sex
Corrupt
and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
My name's Kaylee. I'm studying in Cape Town at the moment, studying design, originally from Pretoria.
I'm Meg, and I'm doing a politics and economics major at UCT, and I'm from Johannesburg.
I'm Jo, and I am in third year at University of Cape Town. I'm studying psychology, org psych, and French. And I live in Cape Town, but I originally come from Pretoria.
My name's Alan. I'm originally from Durban, and I work in Cape Town now in fashion as a planner.
I took a gap year, and everyone was sort of asking me when I was in England, oh, have you just come to see if you can live overseas? And I really wasn't. And after the year, it was such a good year, I sort of was a bit reticent about coming back, and have just been bowled over by South Africa ever since I've been back.
Megan and I were both on gap year, and it was constantly the politics of South Africa and what's happening and why are you here and what are you doing. I was so tired of it actually by the time I came back here, but I don't know, it's very rejuvenating being back. I don't really feel like being anywhere else.
The general mood is completely different from the actual reality here, I find.
Yeah.
There's so much that people take for granted and so much that people don't even notice on their own doorstep.
You know, in some well-developed countries, you reach the employment level and then you've sort of made it in life. But I think South Africa, there's sort of so much more. I mean, there's so much more excitement. There's all the diversity, the room for growth is really exciting, and I think that's
I agree with you
potential.
totally.
You can't, stuff isn't so highly specialized that you have to be, at the top of the field to make a difference. You can just go out and, do whatever you think will help, which is cool.
I mean, I just get scared sort of walking down the streets, and you don't want to clutch your bag tighter because you kind of think what everyone else must think around you, and sort of be like, do they think I'm going to steal her bag kind of thing, or but I think not trying to like encapsulate in that fear. You've got to try and kind of be wary of your surroundings and cautious, but not sort of trapped by it, because otherwise you could really get scared and sort of, I think those are the people that sort of really want to leave.
But South Africans grow up like naturally with this awareness of what's around them. I don't think we realize it until you actually go overseas and you meet people who are just so blasé, and you're like, but how can you do that? Like, how can you walk down the street on your own at night and it's 9 o'clock kind of thing?
With the fabric of society being, a bit shaky as it is in South Africa, and with such high crime rates, it's very difficult to give strangers the benefit of the doubt, which sucks. I hate that. I hate, if someone's run out of petrol, oh, it's probably a scam, they're probably going to hijack me if I pull over to help them. That is just so frustrating, because when people really need help, you just want to be able to help them. And I think that's the biggest key is, if we sort out the crime rate and start getting that, people can actually start working together a bit more, and actually having a little bit of faith in human goodness.
I came from a new generation that was quite integral of all race types. It wasn't an issue for me. However, I did notice that from my parents and from my parents' friends that there was a lot of the old programming like still kicking in, and that the fact that I could notice that and distance myself from it makes me think that from my generation onwards things have changed radically.
It's just got to do with exposure, just the fact that we all went to the same school, and it's Pretoria High School was a pretty accurate cross-section of South African population, and do all have, very, very, I was in hostel with black girls that I'm still so close with today. And that's just, our parents didn't have the opportunity to even get to know them, so at least that hurdle has been overcome, if nothing else. At least it's not this big sort of swart gevaar over the hill, at least you sort of breaking down some stigmas by exposure.
My dad is really at one stage ridiculous, I didn't even want to talk to him about anything that was happening in South Africa or, just generally, and now, with influence from all of us, so there's 4 siblings, and he's really has opened his mind a lot, I think.
I know the older generation are still a bit like, oh my gosh, he has a black girlfriend, but I think people are more sort of open to the kind of person that you are, and if you're really sort of unbelievable, awesome character, then people will love you no matter what. And like, I know that's, I mean, Meg, you know that from Hostel, you were friends with people because you really enjoyed their company, or, you know, not because they were white or they were black or whatever. But I think a huge thing with this racism thing is that maybe it's not a racist thing anymore, but maybe possibly a classist thing. And where you have, you know, there are still a lot of people that are black individuals living in townships who we probably don't engage with.
That's the damage of apartheid, is that it forced, you know, the sort of like right into the lower classes because of denying them opportunities. So now you've got, instead of like in you know, Latin America or England, where the lower classes are, you know, pretty mixed. It's just they're just lower economically, not for any other, you know, race or class. I mean, race sort of distinction. Whereas in South Africa, as a general rule, the lower classes are non-white, which that's, so you're right, the stigmas do get blurred.
I don't know, I have huge issues, not issues with affirmative action, because I think affirmative action is necessary, especially like where we've come from in our country. But I think affirmative action is only helping people that are wealthy enough. And I think, you know, I work a lot in Khayelitsha and Kensington, and those are the people that are actually needing, like, the help. And they need the opportunities, they need the jobs, sort of, they need the jobs, the employment, the money, and they're not getting it. It's the sort of those that have middle class black sort of capitalists in South Africa that are benefiting.
Yes, it can favour, you know, a race that has been discriminated in the past, but then surely there must be some kind of merit still attached to it. You need to know that the opportunities are going to people who are going to make the most of them. That's essential. And I just think instead of looking at it from that point of view, they've just plunged headlong and said, okay, reverse all the inequalities of the past, just do the opposite of what the apartheid government did. And you know, they need to remember that it's discrimination in law, and it's a little bit disturbing. I mean, they have this problem, they don't want to put the sunshine clause on it, which is, you know, it's worrying as a white South African, because you'd like to know that it's, you know, you completely understand that there needs to be redress the inequalities of the past, but you'd like to see that the lawful discrimination is going to have, you know, a set period, and then after that we'll move on, because it cannot carry on indefinitely.
I think that the way that they're trying to redistribute the wealth and the jobs and all that kind of thing, it's the way that the manner in which they're going about it is wrong, because you've got the high earning bracket where you get the affirmative action positions. So basically you're not helping someone rise in class and rise in stature, really. It's all the cream of the business world anyway.
I think all of us are really privileged to have really good education, and you know, my heart crumbles when I see people that are just getting 200 Rand a year education, and that is all. And I mean, their teachers don't care, their parents don't care, and now they're supposed to make something of their lives. And, you know, the government promised all these people things in '94, but nothing has happened. So.
And yet I think everyone is so, I mean, in the context of history, it's been 14 years that we've had democracy and equal opportunities. We were all in grade 1 in 1994. I mean, that's so we're the first sort of group to come through an equal school system. I mean, people are expecting results in the context of like long-term history. 14 years is nothing to redress 40 years of inequality. You know, people are so impatient. I mean, you know, if you look at the budget, you know, Turmania has completely spent all the money in all the right places. You know, so much, the majority of the money is going to education and health and all those things. The problem is the structures aren't there to support them and spend that money properly. But that'll come, you know, once you have people who are educated coming into the civil service and things like that, then the service delivery will come. But people are so impatient.
I don't feel I should be responsible, because I was technically, I mean, Meg said we started 1994 in grade 1, and I don't know, that really bugs me, because, you know, I don't know if it was part of our law. It doesn't mean that I was white, I was enforcing it. So, you know, I think that's...
In fact, you strongly disagree with
Yeah, I mean, I completely disagree with discrimination and segregation too. Like, my blood gets cold when I just think about it. But, I don't know, I think that's really hard to say people need to take the blame for what happened, because... You know, it happens at such a high level.
To what end?
Like, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
And more than that, I think it's the mood of it is like, it's indiscriminate discrimination. It's like all whites must pay and all blacks must get this. It's like that's the worst kind of segregation.
I think this whole issue of like aspirations and actually wanting something more than just sitting outside your sort of your shack or wherever you're staying and just sort of sitting on the streets. I think people need that kind of aspiration, you know, that they want a better life, that there is something out there for them, that they don't have to be in the slum for the rest of their lives.
And I think that as soon as we start to see our capabilities and start to be willing to skill ourselves up and not waiting for an outside source, waiting for government, waiting for the next door neighbor to loan you money, waiting for whatever, I think that once we all take responsibility for our own growth, we'll see our country
that is a huge thing. And I think, you know, if we can plant that little seed, and, you know, even if it's asking someone, if a little kid who's in a township or on the side of the street, what do you want to do when you grow up? It might seem like a silly thing, and all of us had our little ideas. You want to be a ballerina, I wanted to be a physiotherapist. And, you know, even if it's not where you sort of want to go, I think to sort of plant that seed in someone's mind is really important, because they know that, you know, it's sort of trusting them that they can do something more than just what they are.
The general mood of especially black people in South Africa is one of powerlessness, and I think that's a remnant of apartheid. And I think that what we need to is for them to realize that they can be powerful in leading their community. They can be powerful in anything that they choose.
But you do generally get the feeling like and it's so much easier said than done, but you need to stop making excuses. Stop talking about how someone was, you know, discriminated against you in the past, or like, you know, you need to stop expecting someone else to help you, because you know, that's if someone does, and you do need to help. You need people to help, but it must be, you know, over and above. It must be, oh wow, that's unexpected. I think people need to understand that they have to. It starts with them.
We've got to start with who we are in ourselves, and if we see someone, you know, like being racist or being sexist, we've got to say, guys, actually that's unacceptable, you know, and for people to stand up among their friends and say, listen, this isn't cool, or you know, that's I think that's one of the only ways it's going to actually change, because people are so much, even though we all open-minded, and you know, there's so many of these little boxes that we box ourselves in. We're white, we're middle class, you know, so we don't have to go to Khayelitsha. You know, like if we start breaking out of that and saying, no, why don't we, you know, like I think that's actually going to start changing
and
things.
getting down to practicalities and actually, you know, action, doing things, not just talking about what the best idea is, or the, you know, like,
as the up and coming generation, at what stage do we actually sit down, assess what we're doing, whether it's getting the results we want, and how we want, what results do we want, and then how we're going to achieve those. And do we have them, when do we have the maturity to sit down and discuss those things, you know? I don't sit down and discuss those types of things with my friends. I don't know about you guys.
You need to stand up and say, that's illegitimate. That is not part of the social contract that I accept with the government. I obey the laws of the country. I pay my taxes. You know, they have certain responsibilities to me, and I think they're overstepping the mark, and you need to make clear. Because if you don't stand up and say that, then you have no right to sit around your bra and complain about stuff if you're not, you know.
But then again, it's like, as one person, yes, we can unite as individuals and go to a march and make some noise, but for me, the solution's tied to communities, where if you as a community don't decide, then as a community you can move, and you can action stuff much more effectively than a group of individuals meeting to go for a march. For me, it's all about the nuclear family unit, the nuclear community. It's all we've got to pull back to our surroundings and our environment, especially now with advances in the internet and stuff like that, you know, the global community and stuff. We've actually forgotten where we live and that we have neighbors. That for me is a big part of society's downfall now. And to action stuff, we need to go as groups of individuals, probably organized over the internet, to go to this place, instead of like standing up as communities, as centers of righteousness, whatever you want to call it, standing up as communities and saying that no, that's not okay.
My personal dream. I want to live in Africa for the rest of my life. Wherever the road takes me, it's, you know, I hope that it's here.
I really, really do want to stay in South Africa, but you know, I don't know. I'd love to work for the UN or write for The Economist or something like that. You know, that reaches people. You know, getting ideas going and reaching people, but so hard to know.
I've sort of always had this dream since I was little to teach. So I really want to do that at some stage. But on the other hand, you know, I'd love to travel the world for a while as well and see what else there's out there. But I think South Africa is definitely a great place to bring up kids. So when I have my little family, I hope it'll be here.
I like reaching people, and I like helping people explore their own potentials. And although I'd like do that in a small scale with my group of friends, I'd like to branch out and be able to reach a bigger audience with that kind of stuff. Perhaps in the form of a book, write a book. Yeah, that's about it.